neighbors. Welcome to the Music Festivals podcast. This is the show that helps you get to know music festivals, festival venues, and campgrounds before you go. I'm your host, Neighbor Nate, and I'm glad you're in the neighborhood. Hey, yo, neighbors. Welcome back to episode number 51 of the Music Festivals podcast. This is the show that helps you get to know music festivals, festival venues, and campgrounds before you go. And as always, I am your host, Neighbor Nate. And today we are digging into a festival recap of the 10th anniversary of the Pickin on Picknic Music Festival. And that one was held at Lost Hill Lake in St. Clair, Missouri. I was able to make the trip down to Missouri, first time in Missouri, actually. So I was able to make that trip there last weekend. I can start by telling you that this festival was extremely well organized, and it was a one hell of a good time. In the episode, we're going to see some interview clips from folks that I was able to talk with, as well as some performance clips from the McCurry Band, the Gin Strings, Taylor Steele and the Love Preachers, Armchair Boogie, and maybe a few more, as well as a lot of aerial footage from the venue and campground. Again, Lost Hill Lake is kind of a magical venue in Missouri because of this grove of hickory trees that never fully matured. And so it makes this kind of interesting, almost dome pavilion that's outside and made of trees. It's really, really cool. You can look for more videos on this festival to drop in just a few weeks. I'm in the height of busy season right now, so my editing time in between trips is a little bit sketchy. But I do plan to come out with a full-length festival documentary. You'll see this weekend an afternoon coffee with Del McCurry and his boys. That was an interesting hour-long audience Q&A session that was very unique to this festival. And what an experience to be able to, I feel very privileged to be able to have filmed that legendary conversation with one of the greatest bluegrass pickers that have ever lived. But before we get into the festival recap, I do want to give a quick shout out to our brand partner, D-Law Coffee Company. This brand of morning brew is a small batch and high octane roast developed by Drury Anderson. And if you follow festivals and listen to the show, you might know that Drury is the lead singer and mandolin shredder for Mountain Grass Unit, who has also, the band's just been blowing up on tour this summer. So how Drury has time to even, run this company is fascinating to me, but it's good coffee. You can visit dlawcoffeecompany.com and check out their Heady Breakfast Blend, as well as the Heady Breakfast Plus, which adds a little bit more caffeine to your first cup, so you can get some kick off of that. And if you're into flavored coffee, don't forget to add a bag of Mr. Charlie's Cinnabon. I really like the name of that one, to your cart before you check out. And again, you can grab yours at dlawcoffee.com and enjoy D-Law coffee at home or at festivals with your neighbors. D-Law Coffee Company, make sure you fuel the music. But getting right into the recap, this again marked the 10th year of Pickin' On events held for the last time at Lost Hill Lake in St. Clair, Missouri. And they're considering moving to a new home in 2026, but now apparently that might be up in the air. So we'll find out in the next few weeks what's going to happen with that. But the expanded mission of this group of people, there's an entire nonprofit board that puts on this festival, and they've partnered with Sweet Relief Musicians Fund to raise health for mental health initiatives from that nonprofit. And that supports musicians in need who are struggling with mental health issues or addictions or things like that. The event brought together a record crowd for the Pickin' Festivals. And so it's a weekend of bluegrass and jamgrass and a lot of family activity. In fact, I've seen more kids at this festival of all different ages, not just young ones, but kids all the way up into high school. My guess is probably about 1,500 to 2,000 people were in attendance for the duration of the festival. It's hosted on a 200-acre riverside farm in a shady walnut grove. And there's also a lake that has all kinds of really interesting things to go and do. You can paddleboard. There's big towers that you can swing off and jump off of. Just a really, really nice area. They had outdoor showers available to campers for free. That wasn't part of the VIP package or anything. And the outdoor showers were actually very nice. Lockable stalls, stone floor basins with good drainage, hot water, cold water, soap in the things. And when you're in 90-degree heat, getting a rinse off every now and then is great. But again, my personal highlight of the festival was this conversation with Del McCurry and Rob McCurry and Ronnie McCurry, members of the Del McCurry band. Rob and Ronnie also do the Traveling McCurries, or the Travelers, as Michael Cleveland called them. This session was sponsored by Goshen Coffee Roasters, and it happened on Friday afternoon, and it featured Del McCurry and both boys up on stage simply answering questions from the audience, and it was facilitated by a local radio DJ. I believe his name was Keith. I'll have to double check that and put that in the show notes. But Del shared a lot of stories, and it was really cool to hear this guy tell stories. Del's like 86. And so the amount of stuff that he's seen over his life is fascinating. But he shared a lot of stories of first meeting David Grisman, who's, clearly like a legend in the jam scene, bluegrass scene, excellent mandolin player, swapping tapes with Jerry Garcia, some instrument purchases between Jerry Garcia and David Grisman and his sons. He talked about how his sons joined the band, Ronnie at age 14, I believe, describing it as just like breathing. It was natural and easy for him. And he talked about learning from Earl Scruggs and the impact on young players today that YouTube has, and trying to actually watch Earl play versus, getting on a video and being able to zoom in and look at the fingers of whoever you're watching on YouTube. And I did think that was really, really interesting. The entire session closed by reflecting on some of his hits, like Vincent Black Lighting, and how they still get joy of performing some of these songs after so many years. I believe that Ronnie mentioned during the talkback that, it's the only band they've ever known, really. They've been playing in it for between 30 and 40 years. So I thought that was very, very interesting.
To me, I heard you first on this guy's radio station.
Yeah?
And I loved you, and you had that motorcycle song.
Oh,
Do you
really?
have any kind of stories about the motorcycle song? And I was down at Jazz Fest, and I yelled out, "Sing the motorcycle song!" And you sung the motorcycle song. Now, you may have been planning on singing it anyway.
Well, yeah, it may be our most requested song. I think it probably is, but...
When you recorded that, did you have any idea that you would be pretty much expected or required to do that at every... When the Osborne brothers recorded Rocky Top, they had to know they had something. They got a song they're going to do every night, or there'll be a riot. Did you have any indication, or was it just another, we like this, we'll put it on the album, and see what happens?
That's kind of it right there. You never know about a song. You don't know what it'll do, Some people might like it, others hate it, and don't want to hear it again. But that one came through a friend of ours up in New England, didn't it, Rob?
Greg Brown?
No.
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 There's a friend of ours that played bluegrass music for years, and he actually gave me a tape of Richard playing on a radio show, just him and his guitar.
I bet it's on Keith's radio show. I'll bet it was.
I did not have Richard Thompson on my show, but I wish I had.
Yeah.
Dick Bowden was the fella's name, and he brought it to us, and of course Richard's kind of rolling with the finger roll on the guitar, and it just suited Rob and the banjo perfectly, But I can still remember recording that song, and it was just on a record of another dozen songs. And
actually it was. Yeah.
Also on that record is All Aboard, which is another big requested song. I don't know what all's on that thing, but Traveling Teardrop Blues is another one that we do a lot. Count Me Out. All of it. It was a record that, actually, that record came out 24 years ago yesterday.
Yeah.
Called Dell and the Boys.
And is it available in the merch tent?
It might be.
But before we get off the topic, it's one of the strengths of this band is your arrangement and your instinctive just intuition for what a song needs. You look at your recording of 1952, Vincent Black Lightning, and no matter how much you love Richard Thompson's, your version is perfect. It satisfies, and it does exactly the right thing when the right thing needs to be done. So credit to.
Thanks. When we heard, I remember when we worked it out. This song, I think, was it at the Opry at the backstage? I think
we ran it maybe the first time there.
Okay. Backstage at the Grand Ole Opry is where we were playing Opry that night, and here this new song was, so we thought we'd try it there. And Rob was kind of the center point of it with the banjo, you know, and he did it in B flat, and C suited us better. It suited me singing it better, and also suited the banjo with an open C chord, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's the way we recorded. And you know, we booked him at our festival up in Cumberland, Maryland, at Delfest, and we asked him if we could do that with him, or he could do it with us. I don't know which way it would.
Yeah, he come out with us. Yeah.
He came out with us. Okay, so we was backstage there, and we thought we'd try to run through it with him, and we told him, now we do it in the key of C. Will that matter, you know? And he said, well, we'll try it. And so we ran through it for about, I don't know, 30 seconds. He said, yeah, that'll work. So we did it in the key of C, and he sang it just as good as he did in B flat.
He is Richard Thompson, and he can do anything he wants. Another question.
There was a lot of musical highlights over the weekend with the Del McCurry band delivering what I think was a career-spanning set, and it felt like a masterclass in traditional bluegrass. It actually drew, I think, the largest crowd of the weekend, and they played a lot of hits, and it was just wonderful to see this guy up on stage with his sons doing their thing. And I do want to say this, it was literally, no joke, no exaggeration, 95 degrees, humid as hell, intermittent, threat of thunderstorms throughout the afternoon, but we got really, really lucky. At the evening when Del took the stage, they all came out in full suits. I mean, jackets, like your typical traditional bluegrass band. And it dawned on me, here's this 86-year-old guy up there playing the hell out of his guitar in a full suit, and it's 95 degrees, and here's me standing with my shirt off, sweating and bitching the whole time, and yet Del was up there doing his thing, and I was just so impressed by that. Somewhere around the middle of the first set, it was funny to see Del finally stopped, took off the jacket, hung it on a chair, and then the rest of the band took off their jackets and hung it on the chair. And you just see this reverence and this loyalty and this respect that they all have for Del. When Del does something, they do it. And I feel like that was kind of a theme of the talkback, so you'll see some of that. But I'm just so impressed with Del McCurry and what he's able to do at age 86 and still play a hell of a concert and be funny, and what a voice. Just what a voice. One of the questions he got during the talkback was, how do you maintain your voice for that long? But this is somebody who just grew up singing, right? And has sung his entire life, but clearly has taken care of himself. And when you look at Del, it's hard to imagine that he's actually 86 years old. He doesn't look it. He doesn't sound it. The guy's a fountain of youth, and it was an honor to get to see the talkback and then get to see them play their show. I was really delighted with that.
If you don't need me, there's someone else needs me out there. She's kind and tender and one down me, I swear. Don't set me free while I still got time. Don't try to hide the shame from me. If you don't want me, I'll dry my tears and move on.
This festival has amazing nightlife and campfire jams and picks all over the place. So about the time when the last show's over, you look across the field and this massive bonfire sparks up. And I mean like pallets stacked on each other, huge fire. I was a little nervous on Friday night because it was pretty big and I wasn't sure if it was going to, cause other fires, but it didn't. It was perfectly safe. And the amount of people that gathered around the fire to pick and play was amazing. I didn't stay out too late. I had other stuff to do and needed to get some sleep. But the jams were hosted by Pickin Buds, Moon Valley, and then Ryan Kemp and Friends. And this guy who you're looking at now, I just happened to stumble across. He was sitting there playing solo banjo, and I ended up sitting there watching him for probably about 10 minutes because the guy was just crazy good. It was a lot of fun. But, this is really, I think, what makes these bluegrass festivals very special, not dissimilar to Charlotte and the Charlotte Bluegrass Festival that we saw a few weeks back, but the amount of just impromptu picks that spring up all over the place, and they're fantastic. And a lot of times it's the artists coming off the stage and participating, or it's just people that are camping. And I really think that is a fascinating thing to watch. Like I mentioned before, there was a ton of kids activities at this event, and you saw, I mean, just the entire back section of, and you'll see this in the drone footage, but the entire back section of the venue was nothing but families and kids of all ages, from babies all the way up to high schoolers running around. They had daily workshops that included nature crafts, gardening, forest hikes, face painting. There was the Little Pickin Entrepreneurs Market on Saturday that let kids run their own tiny shops, which is very unique. I thought that was cool. Not to mention there were kids running around doing the hustle. Dad or uncle put them up to going and trying to, hustle somebody to get them to buy something or whatever. And I thought that was really fun. But such a great focus on family and kids at this festival. So if you are a former festival goer and you've stopped because you have kids and you're worried about what they're going to see at a festival, or you don't want to, take them somewhere where they're not going to be entertained, then Pickin' on Picnic is definitely something you want to check out, because I did not see a bored kid the entire weekend. You'll even see some footage of, they had a pony race, and it was stick ponies, and the kids and the adults both participated, and it was hilarious, right? I actually got a kick out of watching the adults and even Ryan Kemp do his pony thing. In fact, he looks like he's very experienced at the pony race and did freestyle moves and killed his time and everything. But the kids really, really enjoyed it. It created great, picture opportunities for the parents. And it was very interesting to see the difference at this festival, because, I had to drive about 7.5 hours, ate there. Very different dress from Ohio festivals. You saw cowboy hats, cowboy boots, very much that ranch influence that I thought was really, really neat. But a great, great festival for anybody that has children and still wants to enjoy the festival scene. There were a lot of wellness and green initiatives at this festival, and I feel like that's also picking up across the board with other festivals. But Pickin' on Picnic is definitely a thought leader in this area, and they seem to have, again, super organized, but they've taken these ideas of wellness and clarity and green initiatives and really blown them out and made them very effective. So the wellness zone featured everything from cold plunges to IV therapy to massage to workshops on breath work or herbalism, and then even emotional intelligence, which is something I've never seen at a festival, but probably cool to have there, right? The cold plunges were also really, really unique. It seems like Ryan and team really made a lot of effort to go out and find vendors and sponsors for this festival that did some of that. So I even saw Anderson Windows there with a small booth, because they kind of go to everything. But the folks who were doing the saunas and the cold baths, they looked like they were kind of a sauna company, and there was a lot of people taking them up on those ice baths, because again, it was hot. So what a great way to cool down at a festival. And again, first time I've ever seen an ice bath at a music festival. This was very popular when I used to do triathlons. You go to these big triathlons, thousands of people there all racing. They would have ice baths for after you got done with your race, mostly to make sure you weren't going to pass out. Here, it was just a benefit, right? It was just something that you could do to cool down and enjoy the day. I really, really enjoyed that. There was a lot of extensive composting and recycling as well, and they really focused on keeping the venue clean, keeping the land cleaned, and you could tell there was a lot of respect from not just the festival, but the attendees as well. Nobody dropped litter anywhere. Everybody picked up after themselves. Just a really pleasant thing to be a part of. From a vendor standpoint, there was a lot of local food trucks, from barbecue to artisan markets or artesian markets to all kinds of different food that you could try. I had a burger from one of the stands that was delicious, and it had a long line, so you could tell it was going to be delicious. But then there were a lot of nice touches in terms of the merch and craft vending. One of the things that was very unique about Pickin' on Picnic, that again, I've not seen at any other festivals, is that you could get a custom screen printed shirt made. They had this whole thing of picking your options, pick your color, pick your logo, pick the art that you want on it, pick the size, and then they would print that on demand directly from you. And there was a truck there that specialized in that. So a really interesting partnership that I think other festivals should actually pick up. It was a great idea. Saturday's Four Hands Flamingo happy hour was also packed. And the entire time they had bars out at this festival, right? So there were 2 or 3 different bars you could go to. You could get your libations, your general alcohol, mixed drinks, beer, cider, wine, whatever you want. Had a great wine selection. But then they also had cannabis infused beverages and a variety of those, right? And I'll put some pictures up of that. I actually got into those. I was drinking a few of them, make you nice and relaxed. The root beer was the root beer version of it was excellent, but really very developed in terms of what they had to offer from a merch and a food and a beverage standpoint. But all in all, my review of the Pickin on Picnic is that this is definitely a must-attend festival, especially if you're into the family life now. You've had your solo festival days, but there was also a lot of people that were college age on up, solos, did not have families, but a really great experience all weekend. Some of the most fun I've had at a festival recently. Honestly, it was super relaxed. Hat tip to my neighbor Jim, who I ended up talking to all weekend. 70-year-old attorney who was just really enjoyable to talk with, and we hung out all weekend, taking breaks when I was not running around shooting videos and things like that. The other thing that I want to say about this festival is that Ryan and Cassie and their entire team go out of their way to make everybody feel special. So I've done the media pass thing now for a bunch of different festivals. It's kind of how I roll at this point. This was the first time at a festival where the promoters actually went out of their way to promote the media team, to actually put stuff out on their marketing and social media and whatnot to identify who the media people were, because they all, everybody has their own photography business or video production or podcast or YouTube channel or whatever that was. And the organizers at Pickin made that a public thing, right? And I really appreciated that. The other thing that was nice about this, and hats off to them for doing this, because this doesn't happen a lot, is that the entire media team was invited to enjoy the hospitality backstage along with the bands, along with the staff, and that doesn't happen a lot. So hats off to you guys for really not just extending a good time to the attendees and the people who are paying for tickets, but also really taking care of the media team and things like that. That was really unique, and I really enjoyed that. So again, this is a festival that you want to check out. I really enjoyed it. I will go back next year, but we're going to wrap things up for this episode right after a word from our partner, D-Law Coffee, and you'll hear directly from founder Drury Anderson of Mountain Grass.
Hey y'all, it's Drury from D-Law Coffee Company. Let's take it from the beginning. Hi, my name is Drury Anderson, and I'm a 21-year-old musician from Alabama. Music has always been a part of me, and I'm super lucky to be traveling around touring with my best friends. Whether it's playing music or putting together something for my friends, I've always been passionate about the power of a shared experience. As some of you know, touring around the country involves a lot, and to me, good coffee is essential to staying fueled while on the road. After consulting with friends in the business, I decided to give it a go. My goal is simple: get coffee to people all over who need it the most. So whether you play music, love music, or your passion lies somewhere else, D-Law Coffee is here for you. Fuel the music.
I do want to give props to Drury as well. I reformatted that video into 16:9 so it would work on the show, but that video was solely produced by Drury and whoever he's working with on that. If you haven't watched Mountain Grass Unit's social media videos on Instagram or TikTok or even YouTube Shorts, make sure to check those out. These guys are hilarious. They do these little mini drama promotions that are funny as hell, but it is this entire generation of bands coming up that are not just digital natives, but social media natives, right? They're really good at the 16:9, 1x1 social media content on Instagram and TikTok and things like that. So hats off to those guys for really pushing the boundaries there. If you are a fan of the show, you know that we work with festival promoters to offer you chances to win some great ticket packages to all kinds of different music festivals. So to get your chance to win those, make sure you head over to musicfestivals audiopodcast.com and look for the tab at the top that says win tickets. We're going to have more opportunities coming online very, very soon for a series of fall festivals that are in the works right now. So while you're at the site, even if there's no festivals to enter right now, make sure that you subscribe. You can do that on the homepage by simply filling out a small form and hitting that button, punching that subscribe button, and that's going to get you into the neighborhood monthly newsletter. In that monthly newsletter, you'll get things on new announcements of ticket contests for festivals, announcements of festivals and early bird discounts as well as discount codes from our partners or our affiliate partners. And those are outdoorsy.com, Inikim Electric Scooters, Melted Mind Designs for custom tie-dye apparel, Cast Magic, CapCut, Opus Clip, Hoem and the Hoem iSteady M7 gimbal, and Custom Made Casino. That's where I get those custom made poker chips printed for each festival. So make sure to check those out, support those guys, and also use the discount codes if you want to try any of them out. Make sure to come back next week. We are going to be recapping the 4848 Festival, which is going to wrap up our series on the Trifesta from All Good Presents. I'm actually leaving this afternoon. I'm recording this on Wednesday because I got a busy weekend ahead of me. But I'm leaving this afternoon to go to Snowshoe, West Virginia, and spend a day at 4848. We've got some great interviews set up, and there's going to be a lot of footage from that. It's going to be Dark Star Orchestra doing the main set at night. And so I'm very excited for that. And then I will be coming back the following day to head to my very first metal festival with my son, Caden. So it's going to be cool to actually have him there with me. I may throw a camera in his hand and see what he does. He's a pretty talented photographer. But we're going to Incarceration, which is a metal and tattoo festival. And that's happening up at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. It's going to be a big one with a lot of really loud bands and pyrotechnics and all this stuff. Very different from, the Bluegrass Americana jam festivals that I typically go to, but hey, you got to expand your horizons, right? So make sure to tune in next week to see the recap on 4848 Festival. And then a few weeks after that, you'll see the recap on Incarceration, which is going to be a lot of fun. If you are listening to the audio podcast, make sure to check out the YouTube channel for more videos that aren't featured on the audio podcast. In fact, there are no videos featured on the podcast other than the episode video that you can get on Spotify and Apple as well. But check out the YouTube channel and make sure to punch the subscribe button while you're there, because we've got a lot of great stuff coming out from Pickin on Picknic, 4848, live performances, full shows, interviews with bands. And then you'll also, when this show comes out the same day, look for the conversation with Del McCurry to be dropped. It's an hour-long video of Del up there just answering questions, doing his thing, being funny. Really enjoyed that session. It was a privilege to be able to be there and capture that. And hats off to Del for just an amazing career, and really one of the fathers of bluegrass in my mind. If you are listening to the audio podcast as well, make sure to rate the show there. You can do that by simply rating it on Spotify or Apple. Or if you go over to YouTube, feel free to comment there. Send me a message. I always love hearing from you guys and getting feedback. But that is all we have for this week. As always, I am Neighbor Nate, and I hope to be your neighbor at a festival very soon. Maybe it'll be 4848 or Incarceration this weekend. You've got, 2 chances to camp next to me. So we'll see. Cheers, everybody.